begin?
Matt's going to start.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt. Alonso's here. Christy's here. Well, Alonso is there in his house, and Christy is there in her house, and I'm here in my house. We are talking about Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, a new indie film. Christy, why don't you describe this one for us?
This is a really great drama and might end up being one of the best films of the year. It had a quick little theatrical run right as all this madness was beginning, and they pulled it and are now releasing it through streaming. And so if you can find it, go find it, because it's so worth your watch. If, this quality of like independent art house cinema really has not been out there very much of new stuff. So please take advantage of this. It is about a 17-year-old girl named Autumn, played by Sidney Flanagan. She lives in a small, quiet, kind of dying Rust Belt town in rural Pennsylvania. When she finds out that she is pregnant, she goes to a clinic in town where it's very clear very quickly that she only has one choice available to her. And so she gets all the money she can get together, and she and her cousin, who's also her best friend, who's also her coworker, played by Talia Ryder, they work together at a grocery store in town. They get some money together and they take a bus to New York City, and they go to Planned Parenthood and try to get an abortion. And it's this very clear-eyed, very understated look at what that journey entails. And Eliza Hittman, who wrote and directed it, has this wonderful way of depicting these realistic kind of coming-of-age scenarios, but within sort of a dreamlike setting. I mean, it's a sort of a gauzy kind of ethereal setting. So if you saw It Felt Like Love or Beach Rats, which are both really great. She often works with actors who perhaps you have not heard of, who haven't done very much. And there's this great grounding realism, but also an understatement, but also a really confident reliance on the actors to convey so much of what they're going through wordlessly. And so she'll hold the camera on someone's face for a long time and just let their experience inform what is happening, internally or in this world in which they found themselves. These two young women, these two teenagers from a small town, are totally out of their element in just the maze and the confusion of the big city. And it's just one step after another. And like, what do they have to do to get the money to do this thing? And then this happens, and then this happens. And there is absolutely no judgment as far as any decision that either of them make. And it's really stressful, but given how much occurs, there's never any melodrama here. There's one really exquisite sequence that gives the film its title, in which the director just holds the camera on Autumn's face as she's answering a series of questions.
That scene.
It's stunning. It tells a lifetime of abuse and sadness, and it leaves just enough open, right? Because they don't spell out exactly.
Yeah,
because it doesn't. Because
there's so much. It just leaves so much for you to infer that
Right.
the movie's never going to tell you what the answers are.
And they don't need to, and that's fine.
No, absolutely.
No, this movie is riveting, and it's riveting, and it caught me off guard because it goes through the first like 20, 30 minutes, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I wonder, this seems like it's going to be padded out a little bit. And there's a couple of hints at that, and then that doesn't happen. And what's kind of amazing is that it again, it doesn't need any melodrama. Like just the matter of fact, it's almost, this movie makes me think about that phrase, the banality of evil, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's so many steps, so many roadblocks in front of Autumn that at any point it would be so easy for her to just give up. That first visit to the clinic in her local town, where they make her watch Hard Truths, right? Which undoubtedly is brought to you by the same filmmakers behind Red Asphalt. And then without it being spelled out, you realize that she can't really go to her family. And, which then kind of pays off with with a really weird call between her and her mom, which was, there's just like so much low key heartbreak in this.
Even to the point of like that local clinic is so much one of those things where they pretend to be like, oh, it's a women's health clinic, but it's really just there to like scare you out of getting an abortion and forcing you to carry a kid to term. And it could have been so easy for the movie to demonize them or even have somebody else explain to her, oh, well, this is what they do. Again, you are left to figure this out for yourself. Like, this movie so respects the audience as being intelligent people who are paying attention and don't have to have every single thing spelled out to them. There's so many emotional payoffs and there's so much dread and kind of tension throughout. It's brilliantly done.
And what she does in It Felt Like Love and Beach Rats is similar too, in that each of the central characters has this maturing, this like pivotal, poignant moment in his life or her life. And it's, you're a teenager. They're all teenagers. And so this stuff feels heightened, but she plays it in a way that is so low key that it's almost like the drama is more captivating because of it.
Right.
She trusts it. She doesn't have to like overkill any of this stuff. I want to put my fancy film critic on hat for a second. There's a couple things that I was sort of reminded of here. First of all, I think Hittman's use of non-actors, although obviously in the case of like Harris Dickinson for Beach Rats, they go on to become, working actors. I'm reminded of the great French filmmaker Robert Bresson, who would very famously find these like farmers or whatever to be in his film just because like he liked the way that the camera, sort of registered their faces. I was also, speaking of French movies, reminded of Cleo from 5 to 7, the great Agnès Varda movie, which is about a young woman who is spending an afternoon waiting to hear her biopsy results. And in that slice of time that's almost real time, you find out so much about this person when they are facing this sort of health-based trauma, which is kind of what's happening here. The pursuit of this abortion and all the different pitfalls and roadblocks along the way tell you so much about who this girl is and her cousin and their relationship to each other. Like, there's a part where Autumn tells Skylar to like fuck off, and Skylar just sort of walks off for a second and then walks back, and they're fine. Like, they don't have to say anything.
But what they do when they reconcile is so lovely and so intimate and wordless. And yet you feel that connection again. Alonso, I want to point out, we should mention that they're not all non-actors, because who's the guy they meet on the bus that they then connect with at Port Authority?
It's the dude from On Becoming a God.
It's Cody from On Becoming a God. It's Théodore Pellerin. So yes,
like,
he's an actor.
Is he going to start selling him something? Like,
I mean,
exactly.
But it's so tense. Like, something is going to happen though when they meet him. That he's not just being nice. It's not all on the up and up, but you don't know what it's going to be.
And creepy stepdad was on the new 90210, and he pops up in a bunch of stuff as well.
And the mom is Sharon Van Etten, who is a singer.
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, this was
her. She sings over the closing credits. In fact.
Yes.
Yeah, I was low-key blown away by this movie. And again, it's because it trusts the material, it trusts the audience, and it says so much with what it doesn't say, right? Like, you never need to get Autumn saying to her cousin, "I love you, thanks for doing this." You never need to get all of the blanks filled in. And you get to see, and the tragedy to a certain extent is, even when, at both of the Planned Parenthood clinics, but almost especially the first visit to the Manhattan one. When
the Brooklyn one, you mean?
The Manhattan one.
That's the second visit.
They go to Manhattan first and then Brooklyn.
Oh, I thought they went to Brooklyn.
No, they go to Brooklyn and then Manhattan, but she goes to Manhattan twice. So I'm talking about the first time she goes to Manhattan.
Okay, the first time she goes to Manhattan. Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Well, so first of all, like, they don't overdo it with the protesters.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they don't turn that into a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but one of the fascinating things is even in the Planned Parenthood environment, where everyone is attempting to be respectful and comforting and nurturing, this movie even allows you to see how even difficult that can be, right? Like, the questions that the counselor has to ask, even before they get to the one long take, are just so difficult. And you see, like, it's almost depersonalizing to a certain extent. This movie's fascinating and really just on how, I keep coming back to the word subtle and just like matter of fact. And, I think this does more to show what a young woman has to go through in a case like this than any over-the-top melodrama. Because,
yeah, I mean, just starting from the fact that she can't, as a minor, can't get an abortion without parental consent in Philadelphia, and it's like, which then forces her to go to New York, which is what makes the whole movie happen. And it's like, it's what abortion rights activists always say: making abortion illegal doesn't decrease the number of abortions; it just makes them riskier.
Well, hopefully this will reach folks who need to see it. So I'm saying 9. What are you guys saying?
Yeah, I'm saying 9 as well.
Okay.
9.2. I agree with you. This is definitely, I think, a film we're going to look at as one of the best of the year for sure.
Yeah. So our numbers are 9.1. So it is streamable, I want to say, through Prime.
Amazon and iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it on Amazon.
Okay. And it's rentable, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. As Matt was saying in our coronavirus update, its Focus is a division of Universal, so they are making it available for a $19.99 rental, the way they're doing with Invisible Man and Emma and the other one that we watched.
Well, Trolls will be one that they do that one.
The Hunt.
The Hunt, yes.
Hunt,
good.
yes.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. If you are watching this on YouTube, and why wouldn't you be, like this video, subscribe to us here on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at BeFastAllDay. And check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're wrapping up our coverage of Netflix's Tiger King this week, and also keeping up with HBO's Westworld and The Plot Against America, and other fun, cool stuff for our subscribers. So check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye.
All right, what's next?
Go to Crip Camp.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 2:45.